It's going live. Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today we have our Spring into Readathon live show with Clint from Reads Readers, as always. This time we have the lovely Allie from Hardback Hoarders. And our very, very special guest, Austin Siegemund-Broka and Emily Wibberley.
Hi there.
Hey, everybody.
The authors of our group book, If I'm Being Honest. And I have to say, if I'm being honest, I loved it.
It's very addicting.
Yes. I'm dying to know, do you know these people? Are these people that you know in real life?
They are people who know from YA.
Well, and also, like, we would say Paige and all of her friends were very much, so I was in marching band, and
Yes.
she was like the epitome of my friends in the color guard.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes. That's a big one. There's not a close real life analog for Cameron except for countless mean popular girls in YA contemporary. And that is in fact where the story started. Is these like characters we've seen in other roles in other books, and we decided, what if we changed the camera angle and made them the focus?
I just pictured her as Regina George.
Yes.
Good art.
Yeah. Yeah, it was exactly that kind of thing. We'd seen that character plenty, and we thought, what if that was the main character?
Yeah, it's nice because you never get to hear that voice. And even as I started it, I was like, man, I don't like her. And then I was like, but why don't I like her? I've been told I'm not supposed to like her. Yeah. So I love that we just got that whole new story.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, I actually liked Cameron from the beginning. Knowing that she's this bitch, I still liked her. It was just like,
we hear it both ways. We seriously, in reviews and conversations and stuff, we hear both those viewpoints.
I was going to say, we rewrote the opening.
Yes.
That was probably the most rewritten part of the book, because we were just trying to walk that line of like establishing that she is kind of hard to be around, but also why do we want to keep reading about her, which was very hard to walk.
Can we say the best opening line to a book I've read in a long while? Just the word bitch.
It's like bold letters too.
Yes, I was like, yes.
That was the perfect way to start this book.
You had to set it down.
Exactly, you know.
I think that's great for teen readers too, because they see that curse word and it's a word that they're not supposed to use, but they're like, oh, look at this. This is a book I shouldn't be reading. And then they want to read it more.
Mm-hmm.
And like, they're hearing it.
Right.
Yeah.
And thinking about it, and it's so
whispering it.
So why not start off with a bang?
Yeah.
So, question, out of all of Shakespeare's plays, why did you choose Taming of the Shrew? Because I know the first one was Romeo and Juliet, but I was just curious why Taming of the Shrew was the next one that y'all came out with.
So we always take characters who don't get the spotlight so much, and so our Always Never Yours is more about the girl who's not Juliet rather than Juliet. And then so we're like, well, who's another famous female type that really just doesn't get the full-fleshed like treatment that they deserve?
Yeah.
And we looked, and also like, we love Shakespeare. He had a lot of women characters, not an overwhelming amount of like women characters who like you could really do a lot with, I would say.
And it's an interesting question, because the idea to incorporate Taming of the Shrew into this story actually came after the concept of working from the perspective of a mean popular girl. And this is, and so we used Shrew because it was the one that was most applicable to this nugget of a story we already had.
Mm-hmm.
Something we did with Always Never Yours as well, because with both of them, we didn't want them to be straight retellings and just derivations of the story that existed. And we thought it would be most interesting if we could come up with a separate concept and then find a way to connect it to Shakespeare rather than the other way around. Ooh, we have a comment.
I wasn't expecting it to pop.
On this format here.
But I like that.
Anyway, yes. That is why we had the idea of Cameron, and we thought there's something we can weave into this controversial, much maligned, so play.
And also, we love the movie 10 Things I Hate About You, and like
I was just about to mention that. She reminded me so much of Julia Stiles' character.
So
as was intended. We adore 10 Things, and
So
we
good.
just thought that's an amazing way of doing the story, and then here is another way you could do it.
I like the
But Cameron didn't like Shakespeare. She thought it was way too
yeah.
flattering.
Yeah, that was fun because obviously in Always Never Yours, Megan is a theater director and so has a lot of reverence and respect for Shakespeare's works. And it was we felt it was incumbent to not get boring, but also just for fun to have a character who is absolutely sick of this shit.
well, and also I reread this play before we wrote the book, and I was like, this is not a good play.
Yeah.
Like, it is
It's really not.
like quite offensive.
Yes,
honestly,
it's quite
there's
bad.
a lot of really offensive parts. So like, it was time to kind of hold Shakespeare accountable for that.
not being great all the time. It was an early work, and boy, he was not there yet.
I really love the commentary, like later on in the book when she's talking about how terrible the female representation is in that. And at the time I was like, but they love Shakespeare. Why are they doing this to Shakespeare? But I was like, it has to be said at the same time. So
it was kind of an important point for us because the quote unquote classics get a lot of flack, and we wanted to show that there is a lot of importance and value in reading old works of literature, even if it is just to criticize them. You can read them and condemn them, and still it is a valuable thing that you have read them.
Yeah.
So that's how we're all Cameron.
So I know that Always Never Yours and If I'm Being Honest are both Shakespeare inspired. Are your future books also Shakespeare inspired?
So our books are not. However, we are involved in Dahlia Adler has a Shakespeare anthology coming out, That Way Madness Lies. And so we did write a piece for that. And you should all check that one out because the list of authors involved is like, I can't wait to read it, honestly.
Where's paper and a pen?
Madness Lies.
I'm like, let me write this down.
And so every
I
author,
have a question for you guys here.
yes, we are.
To this comment, yes. Yeah, and this is amazing to do together. We have always loved talking about literature and about story and, the writing career.
Now we're married.
Now we're married.
Yeah.
That was actually a question I had for y'all because I know I follow you both on Twitter, and I know Austin, you have very much a businessy kind of job, that doesn't quite match a contemporary YA author.
Oh, true.
And so I'm curious, kind of what led the two of you to writing contemporary romance together?
Well, I mean, we fell in love in high school, and it was just such obviously a huge part of our lives, and we'll never be over it. So writing it.
Yeah, these stories are very resonant for us.
Yeah.
It was something, truthfully, it was something that Emily got me into. She has always been the more conversant, vigorous writer.
I handed him like Anna and the French Kiss, and I was like, read this.
Read this. And I did, and I fell in love
to read that.
and I read more and more. And as I started to work more with Emily, which by the way, I was like, I couldn't even contain my excitement. She asked me to edit and work on stuff with her, and so I decided I was going to throw myself full scale into this. And in so doing, I found a genre that I really love and a set of stories that, as Emily's saying, is very resonant to both of us. But yeah, mainly a genre that I am very grateful to know about.
I think it's pretty impressive that you were able to get him to read Anna and the French Kiss.
I know. I was like, we're going in like with the biggest like
We are.
barrier to
Yeah.
but pink cover, kissing the title, we're doing it, and here we are.
One of the things I have always most admired and respected and known about Emily, even since long before we were even dating, was how great taste she has in terms of books and movies and stuff. And so it was very easy for me to be like, okay, this person cares about this stuff. I need to pay attention. There's something here that I need to know about.
And now he gets to try to get his like finance homies to read. If I'm being a pink cover,
and I've actually been a hearteningly successful. You know, I wouldn't say they're all, you know, vigorous YA
they
readers
do read
at this
them,
point,
though.
but they do read them. And knowing that I care about them, I think gets them to take a second look at that genre and that world. And, you know, they have a concrete personal touchstone in it. And so sort of like I did with Emily, they kind of have to think twice.
Didn't you say husband goals?
He does this, and he wrote this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just let people deal with that themselves. I'm just like, yep, I write my romance too. Like,
Well, I think everyone can relate to contemporary and romance on any level too. So no matter what, you're going to find yourself within the book somehow. So
that's what we love about it.
yeah.
And especially like, so our next book, which is not Shakespeare, Time For A Vacay, but we have a male POV in it. So that was like something that
was big for me.
Yeah, that was big for us. got to write a male POV.
Finally. And yeah, that one's not Shakespeare inspired and is much more personally informed. It has a lot more to do thematically and from a character perspective with, I don't know, a high school love story.
Yeah.
And you handle that when you are going away from high school and where your relationship to your family is changing and your relationship to the wider world is changing. And that's kind of why we didn't work any Shakespeare inspiration in there. It is such a uniquely personal story that we wanted to let that be the focus.
And how Alex was talking about how being able to see yourself in these different characters. And when you talked about being in marching band and the color guard, I was in color guard. Actually, I could see that. I was like, this very much reminds me of like some of the people that I hung out with. So yeah, I could see myself in that funky little odd collection of people. Maybe not with the guy in the corset in the bookstore.
That would have been me.
I was head of web design team, so I felt I connected with Cameron on that level because I was like, I couldn't do web design, never. No, that's just a hobby.
Yeah.
So it was cool seeing that too because I was the only girl in the web design class. So
that is very much how we envision Cameron.
Yeah.
We have another question for you guys. How do you feel about saying opposites attract? Do you have a lot of differences as well as having so much in common?
Yeah. I would say there is an equal proportion of both.
Yeah. We always say like having some kind of common ground, but you can have completely different views on it. So it's like love books, maybe you don't love the same type of books. Love, theater, like in our first book, Megan's a director and Owen's a writer. Like they come from it from different angles, but they love the same thing, and that generates a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
But of course, we always do love to pair our like very strong, like headstrong, provocative female leads with more cinnamon roll type love interests. And so in that sense,
we very much believe in opposites attracting. Yeah, it's really the
cinnamon rolls.
I love that the guys are the cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
they can be great. They're soft, but they can go toe to toe with Cameron.
So I have a question. Was it y'all's intention to have a crossover?
I mean, yeah.
You
gleefully
towards the end.
Yes.
Yeah. It's just too much fun.
And I don't know where I don't know where the idea actually came from, but it maybe
Actually, it's funny because in our first draft of like Always Never Yours, we had referenced our characters from a book we wrote before Always Never Yours, which is actually going to be like our fourth book. So it's like we've just always been doing it. And
it really is just because we think it's fun.
Yeah.
And because we like to include a nugget of the idea that, as was the case for us, these like lives and romances and stories don't like end right at the end of the book, and like they sort of do, and it's okay if that's all you want there, but like, you know, people they go off to college, they do other stuff, and so yeah, we've made a habit of including this, and always we really enjoy it.
Yeah.
The minute they appeared, I like screamed out loud. I was like, yes.
Yeah. Cameron and Brendan do make their appearance in Time For A Vacay. So.
Yes, we can confirm that there's more of Cameron and Brendan.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to reading that.
Yes.
I have my mark right here.
There
Those
is.
of you that don't know, this beautiful book here comes out next month, right?
Yeah.
April.
8.
That's one.
Yeah. That's the one.
What date is this coming out?
The 21st of April.
It just says April on mine.
Yeah, soon. We're getting there. Amid these
I
crazy.
might just have to pre-order it. I need something to read in quarantine.
Oh.
Right?
Yep. Well, we're inside.
So what inspired Cameron's dad? Because he was awful.
Yes, he is the worst, right? Like, he's truly awful.
Yeah.
What inspired him? I just, we needed to understand how Cameron became the person she was, and she is mean, and like she has to grow. So I don't think that she is mean at the end of the book, but I don't think that mean people just are mean just because. I mean, maybe some, but we don't want to write about that character.
But like the founding ethos of the book is very much the fact that if somebody's giving you a hard time, they're probably having a hard time, and that we needed that for Cameron.
And rudeness tends to be a learned behavior too. So yeah.
And so she, was absorbing that from her father and feeling very much that she was not good enough, and that was making her a very unpleasant person. And so as soon as she was able to kind of look at herself and say that she was good enough and she didn't need her father's validation, then she was able to be a better person.
Yeah. Yeah. We wanted to include the fact that he is very successful because it becomes this like twisted philosophy in Cameron's head. It's not just that she's upset that somebody's mean to her. She has developed, as people do, this quasi ideology around the fact that mean people succeed because they're merciless, and that we found sympathetic. But finally, in him, we also just wanted to show an analog to Cameron in that he is never redeemed in any regard. And some people are just mean, and they always will be that way. And whether something made him that way in the past, it's just a closed book because
he's not going to change.
He will never try to do better.
Yeah, I'm still hoping though that there was going to be something that like
maybe one day
realize what an awful person he was.
Yeah,
she's got her mom, and sometimes that's what you have to do is take the person you've got and let go of the person you don't.
Yeah.
We have another question for you guys. They want to know, what are some tips for writing a novel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
this is and we have humbly acquired a little bit of wisdom over our years. I think one big one that we always say is finish stuff. You really learn a lot, both procedurally and conceptually, from having to make a story that has a beginning and go for a while and then have an end.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of like play around in fictional worlds for a while, that's a start, but it's a different skill than a full novel.
Yeah. That's our biggest one. It's like commit to an idea because you believed in it once, and in the middle of the book, you're going to feel like it sucks because we all feel like our ideas suck in the middle of the book, and just like stick it out and get to the end.
Totally.
And maybe it won't suck anymore. At least that's the hope.
Yes. Goals help in terms of setting yourself word counts or pages or a time of the week to do it. It's basically the common theme here is like structure.
Yeah.
If you really want to do it, you have to do it. And as I always tell people, the heartening part of all that is that if you do it, you will have done it. which I know sounds like a truism, but a lot of people think that writing a novel is just like this weird, ineffable, impossible task. And the fact of the matter is, if you sit down and tell yourself you're going to write 500 words a day,
which is not that much. It's like a page.
It's not that much. You're an hour and a half. If you do that 5 days a week, you will have finished a book in not a very long time.
Yeah.
Like you
In
genuinely.
months. Yeah.
What's your process for writing together?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's somewhat changed over the years, but we write every word together. Like we are in the same room and we kind of fight over the tiniest words and figure out what the sentences are going to say. Otherwise, we work from a very detailed outline, which is what I do when he's at work. And then when he comes home from work, he kind of leads the charge more on the actual prose that goes into the book. And then I'm kind of checking it and saying like, well,
editing it as we go.
Yeah. So.
Do you guys fight over who gets to name characters?
Fight over who has to name characters.
It's so hard. I don't know if it's writers, but it's so hard.
They're like children. They're just like so much stress.
Like, you want them to have the right resonance. You can't just like, take it out of the hat, but like it's hard. Man.
But also, you realize like you have your own naming preferences, and you have to break yourself of them. So, like if you notice, Megan, Owen, Cameron, Brendan, all of them have ends at the end. Like, what were we?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing, honestly.
I didn't even think of that.
Now you will.
Several questions from people here. The first one is, what was the purpose of Cameron's friendship with Elle, and what was the inspiration for that character?
That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, Elle is in so many ways like the direct foil to Cameron, because they have a very similar philosophy at the beginning, which is like, live your truth, be who you are, don't compromise yourself for anyone. And like Elle has that right some of the time, but has it wrong some of the time. And so Cameron, while she swings too far in the like compromise yourself and change who you are, she ultimately is able to kind of walk that line of like being respectful to people while being true to yourself. And Elle is not able to do that as much. But and also like Cameron does hurt Elle, like she does, and we can't wash over how Cameron kind of ruins that friendship.
Yeah, Elle is very much not a villain, and we wanted somebody who keeps representing just that person who's a little bit over the line from where Cameron ends up, and who still is respectable and is human and is emotional and is sort of in the right and is going to be successful, because there are a lot of people out there like that too, and they are not the villains either, even if they're not the center of the story we're telling right now.
Yeah.
Another question is, did you impart Cameron's mom with elements of mental illness? I see her mom has very depressed in her actions, especially.
Yeah, I would like Cameron's mom definitely has undiagnosed depression, and she has points where she has like a major depressive episode when she won't get out of bed and like kind of can't clean up her stuff like that. And then she does sometimes have points of mania. So whether she's firmly like a bipolar spectrum, we didn't want to fully go into that because we're not writing her story, but it is something that Cameron sees. And like from Cameron's point of view, you can tell that her mom is dealing with some stuff there.
And it's something that we know, and we're sure many people deal with. And it's not by any measure Cameron's mother's fault. She is stuck with this situation, and especially for people of less affluent means, it's very difficult to deal with that. But there are kids who are left dealing with parents who are dealing with that, and it's just a really hard situation for everybody.
So that's why we really wanted them to be honest with each other at the end and kind of grow from there.
I love their end together. It was really sweet. And I was getting the bipolar from it too, because I could see those mania points where she was on the cleanse and doing this power yoga and all this stuff, and then back to being on the couch.
Yeah.
Another question is, have you guys ever disagreed on which direction you wanted a novel to go?
We fight more about stuff that you would not even care about. Like whether we have
by and large,
on
we
the
don't
page,
disagree
but-
on like the structures of plots and the thematic heft and stuff, which is sort of also the fact that we don't really decide an idea is good until we both like it.
Yeah.
We're pretty good about responding when somebody thinks a piece is not interesting.
Usually our idea process goes, well, like one of us will come up with something and then the other person will like make that better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a building rather than two different paths. It'll be like,
yeah.
I think with like Always Never Yours, it was like I came up with the character and then you added the Romeo and Juliet play aspect to it, you know, which was the entire like foundation of the novel, but you needed both pieces.
You need both pieces, and we've been honestly pretty blessed to really get along in terms of what big pieces come together.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe one day we will really do something. Not yet, though.
Yeah, hasn't happened yet.
So for like an insignificant part of the story, I'm just curious, who's the bigger nerd out of the two of you? Because both stories have at least one character that nerds out over something.
It's very the marching band for me runs strong. I did that for 4 years. That was totally my identity in high school, and that feels, you know, very stereotypically nerdy. But then Austin is like the sci-fi person.
That's true. I think it's probably more you on balance.
All right, Austin's calling me.
I think it's probably more
Here it
you. I got to be perfectly honest, because you and indeed have introduced me to a lot of that stuff.
This is true.
You know,
All right, it's me.
So have you guys read Saga?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like
finished Saga,
squealed.
yes.
I was like, Saga's in this. I squealed so loud.
Somebody put it on to us when we were working on Always Never Yours, because they're like, oh, this is billed as like a Romeo and Juliet type story in a huge space opera scale. And we're like, that sounds great. Like,
Yeah.
yes.
The Nerdy Birdie asks, which one of the books is your fave? I'm guessing out of your own books.
Oh god,
Oh boy.
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Favorite child.
I think you would say our upcoming.
Yeah, I think I would. I have a very special place in my heart for Time of Our Lives.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the personal angle. We definitely set ourselves some new sights as far as the two perspectives and the writing style. And I think I really have a lot of love.
I think though I like to do like Cameron might be like my favorite lead, you know, and then like Owen might be my favorite love interest. So it's like I gotta pick different pieces.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
That sounds right. But they're all special, you know.
What is your writing snack? Like, what do you like to munch on while you are writing?
You're a big pretzel person.
I am. My true answer, I'm a big beverage person.
Yeah.
I am like constantly drinking something, and usually it's a form of coffee. So that's really, yeah.
Always. Yeah.
And it's not even just like an enjoyment thing. It's like become one of those ritualistic things where like I don't feel comfortable and enthusiastic unless I've like got my coffee going.
Whereas I hate coffee. I hate the smell of coffee. So
I'm allergic to coffee because I'm allergic to caffeine. So
no tea for you either.
actually, I can have tea.
Okay.
So, something's really weird as long as it's black tea.
Okay.
It's really weird. Like the only thing with caffeine I can have, so that's all I drink.
Do you have a writing snack?
I definitely am a gummy bears person.
Oh yeah,
If I had to identify.
they're so good.
Like, gummy bears are great.
Always hits.
I was failing at NaNoWriMo, and my little snack was Twizzlers. I was just munching on Twizzlers.
Big Licorice person.
Somebody says, other than Shakespeare, are there any other authors or books that really inspire your stories?
Jane Austen is our other big person. We always say that like Jane Austen's like the same other side of the same coin as Shakespeare, and that they do so much so well, just in different places and different perspectives. So obviously, like Emma is like a huge inspiration for characters like Cameron. Would you say?
Yeah, that's the other big one. And then also, as I mentioned, like what what we work from a lot is a sense of whose perspective in terms of types of characters is not explored as often in YA contemporary. If there are characters who tend to hang around the sides or perform more functional roles, getting into those people has always been an intriguing dramatic challenge for us.
So I know you have Time of Our Lives coming out next month. Are you currently working on anything else?
Yeah, we're
You could
working
say
on
that.
a couple things. So we also recently sold an adult romance, which is called The Roughest Raft. And if you want to do a quick,
Sure, we're very, very excited about this one. We're thrilled to bring it forward because it's also very personally inspired. It centers on two former co-writers who had a huge bestseller and then whose partnership split under mysterious bad circumstances, and they haven't spoken in years. And then due to
rumors of an affair have surfaced.
And then due to career pressures and contractual clauses remaining, they have to come back together and spend a month writing another book together. So we're actually writing that right now, and it draws a lot from our own co-writing
if you
process.
have if you're wondering at all what it's like to be writing romance with someone who you are romantically involved with,
there's a lot in there, which has been fun to channel.
Yeah.
But then there's also our after Time of Our Lives, we have just finished our fourth YA, which you should speak more about. It's also very personally inspired and was a lot of fun to write.
Yeah, it's our first like true enemies to lovers, academic achievers. Going toe to toe, and they have to plan their school's 10-year reunion for the class of 10 years above them. So they they don't really care about high school or like what they learned from high school, but they have to plan this very nostalgic event with the person they truly hate and like kind of reflect on maybe they don't hate everything about high school and each other so much.
That's well said.
No.
I'm gonna need both of those in my life.
Both in 2021, The Roughest Draft and What's Not to Love is the title of our Enemies to Lovers.
So they're both coming out in 2021?
As well as That Way Madness Lies with the Shakespeare anthology. So we are many books to promote there, and it's going to be an exciting year.
So 2020 is awful, but 2021 is going to be great. So
Yes,
Gotta get there.
fingers crossed.
Have you all back for one of those books for a future one of these. Okay, I have another question for you. I gotta find it. How have you seen yourselves improve since novel number 1?
Interesting.
That's a great question. And not one I've thought about.
I know. We've challenged ourselves with different books, and I feel like that's made us grow. And certainly, like making changes, like having 2 points of view, was a big learning experience for us. And just doing things like, a cat.
Oh wow!
Cat.
I think that our writing stylistically has improved. It's just like a muscle. The more you work it, the more fluidity you get. And I think that we are learning a better balance of how many components you need in a plot. Sometimes you can stuff in one too many wrinkles, and like in general, I like that. I like big conceptual hooky stories rather than meditations on life and things like that. But there's an appropriate balance in there. And like, for instance, like To All the Boys strikes it perfectly, where there is a big conceptual hook, but there's also plenty of time where you just get to know people and feel the texture of their world.
Mm.
And
That's something we're working on.
that's like that's like the ideal we're approaching.
Yeah.
Okay, Lonnie has a question for you, Austin.
Oh, this is a great question. It's easier than you think. All the E's in there trip people up. I want to do it perfectly. It's Siegemund-Broka. It's just like Sigmund Freud, the psychologist, but it's Siegemund-Broka. So.
Sorry, I'm trying to like scroll through everybody's comments and find any questions for y'all.
So Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
I swear you guys just took out all my favorite parts and just put them in a book.
Same.
Rocky Horror. What was I'm assuming that you guys have been.
Long time ago.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah.
Have you only been just the once, or?
Yeah.
And not to the big cemetery screening,
which
that we're
we want
describing,
to go. Like
which
that
is
does exist.
It's a really
Action.
and it looks incredible.
Yeah, it is a real thing, and we would like to go. I think they only do it at Halloween, so we missed it. Like we started this book right afterward, but hopefully we get
Who would you guys dress up as?
I'm gonna punt, but also say that I would dress up as anybody Emily wanted me to. And I would be all in.
I don't know, man. I have not dressed up because I am not like confident enough. I got to work on my Rocky Horror confidence. But
yes.
Why is it that I could totally see them as Riffraff and Magenta?
Yes.
If it gets your guys' approval, then that's very,
Yeah.
that's very.
I feel like y'all would have more fun with them.
Yes. Who are you guys?
Moody Bird probably has plenty of room for you guys.
I've gone in the past, and I normally just go as like a random time traveler.
Yeah.
But I had my best friend who goes all the time, and he always goes as Frankenfurter and full out. It doesn't matter, like
That's
these
how
big heels and everything, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, as a drag queen myself, I would probably have to go as Frankenfurter. I've only gone once to see it live, and that's because a friend of mine was playing it.
Oh, nice.
She was one of the background characters.
That's so cool.
I absolutely loved Cameron's reaction to seeing Brendan in the yellow Speedo or the gold Speedo.
Yes.
That is our favorite theme.
Yeah. It really is.
I
She's
can see her like losing all words. Like
short circuiting. Yeah. Like, just too much at that point.
Yep.
I think too, because he doesn't seem like the type of person
Totally.
who would.
Totally.
And it's just like this total, like he doesn't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
And it's in that moment where she's like, I can relate to this person in this gold Speedo.
and I didn't realize he looked like that. Oh my god.
Well, that too.
I played myself on this one.
I also can't believe Paige literally shaved her head. Like
No.
Don't
I was
you?
just like, oh my
It's commitment.
I was gasping. Like,
There was like she was bleaching it so often that she needed to shave her hair. She had damaged it like beyond control. So she was
We've
like
all been there.
perfectly for the perfect outfit.
yeah, I was just like, that's she got some balls. I was just like, I could not.
That is
We have a lot of love for Paige.
yeah, she's like our favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Paige.
Paige is awesome. And Paige was such a difference to Ellie, like counterpart.
Mhm.
And that's when we started to love Cameron Morris, when she was interacting more with Paige.
Totally.
I think it's interesting.
It kind of made me think Janice versus Gretchen, kind of in your head, going with the whole Mean Girls aesthetic.
I think it was interesting too because both of them are into like makeup and fashion, but in their own ways.
Like Cameron likes a specific type of person. They just come in different wrappings.
Different forms.
Yeah.
Cameron reflect on that even
Yeah.
at one point, that in a lot of ways those people who are on very different sides of social spectra are very similar in a personality sense. Like,
Yeah.
So we have another question.
oh, great.
Do you ever envision celebrities who would play your characters, especially Cameron on TV or movie?
We very much hope for the chance for that to
Yeah.
arise. I don't know if we do so by name, although I mean the Regina George comp is really good. It's outdated now due
She's a
to
little
like
old
Rachel
now.
McAdams' career. That's the type. That's who we envision. But really, the thing about Cameron is any blonde starlet could fill that role. That's sort of the point, that she's the it girl.
Yeah.
So
And for Brendan, we were really working from a Seth Cohen model from the OC. Of course, he's
Adam Brody's also like in his 40s or
also
something.
too old
Yeah,
now,
like,
but that was who we were imagining.
yeah,
I could totally see Adam Brody.
Right, young Adam Brody.
in the day.
So good.
Yes.
Cameron.
But
Love Cameron would be perfect.
That's
Oh
who I
my
was
God,
thinking.
yes.
Oh,
That's who I pictured in my head.
The girl from The Descendants.
This movie.
oh
Yes.
yes.
And you have to and then you have to have her boyfriend play Brendan, the dude who plays Captain Hook.
That would totally
Son.
work.
Oh my
It would
god.
be perfect.
Perfect. Sounds ideal.
Perfect.
She's a teenager, and she is ridiculously beautiful. I mean,
Oh my goodness. Yes,
That's
that's
exactly-
And in her show Liv and Maddie, isn't it Liv that's the film star that's kind of a bitch already, so she plays it really well? One of the two.
That was before or after my time, I think.
Okay.
We should have crowdsourced this question from
Yes.
the beginning. You guys got it.
you know who to come to when you get the movie rights sold.
Exactly.
absolutely.
We got our producer team.
I noticed there was a question earlier on. I don't know who asked it, but other than y'all's own books, what is y'all's favorite book of all time?
Whoa.
That's a heavy question.
It really is.
Super hard. Oh man. Do you have an answer? Favorite book of all time?
Or in your top 10.
In the
We
That
should
is
narrow
that
it.
is a look of deep concentration there.
I'm gonna turn this around to you guys too, though, because this is a hard
This is a hard
question.
question.
Okay, so the book that really did make me like get into YA contemporary was Fangirl. So I have to like give that some recognition. Fangirl was the first book to be like made me a YA contemporary fan. Love it.
Yeah.
Everyone reach for their Fangirl copy. Yes.
Yeah. Influential for me as well, as was To All the Boys, which I have cited. That,
Oh yeah, Austin's is totally To All the Boys.
yeah, that kind of remains very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
As far as classic,
over there.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Shakespeare, who I really do adore. I really did fall in love with those works in high school enough that I studied that all through college and never got tired of it.
Yeah. And I was like
well,
Pride and
with-
Prejudice, like perfect novel.
With that, what's your favorite Shakespeare play?
Anymore, I tend to say Macbeth, which has a lot of my favorite lines and which also is so grippingly cinematically structured.
Yes.
I'm a big Hamlet fan and will defend it despite all claims to the contrary. I like The Tempest a lot. It's a very strange.
Yes.
Well, that's the
This
one
is my fave.
where that
Sorry.
way The Tempest. We are reimagining The Tempest.
We
in our-
adapted
in
Tempest for Dahlia's anthology,
Yes.
so that was really fun to do.
our-
Okay, definitely need anthology now.
Strange play, and very ahead of its time, and so I really dig that.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, you guys go.
yeah,
Favorite book of all time.
books?
I kind of Clint's question is favorite book in the past year
Okay.
that you've read.
Oh, favorite for us? But you guys have to answer favorite book of all time. Of all time.
Oh God.
Oh.
Panic.
Why did you get
Just-
into?
Ask me that all the time, and I'm like, I don't know how to pick one.
I
Well,
would say
actually, y'all guys did. The one that got me into YA contemporary that wasn't LGBT, because that's usually the only contemporary that I usually relate to, because I like to relate to a character.
Yeah.
But The Serpent King,
Yes.
oh,
Jeff Sedner, shattered my soul.
He's so good.
Love
Yes. Yeah, we have read all the stuff. It's
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably, gosh, it's either, for me, it's a children's book. It's either Alice in Wonderland or The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Those are classics.
yeah.
I absolutely adore both. Especially, I think probably I would even put Winnie the Pooh over Alice in Wonderland, just because it was just my childhood and it was so perfect and wholesome, and I loved it.
Yeah.
yeah. I think my all-time most reread would be Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh
yes.
man.
Also, Rocky Horror references.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got a thing apparently.
He holds up. He's a
Well, I mean, you like Shakespeare too, Allie, seeing as your other favorite book is like right here.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, If We Were Villains, that was the other thing coming to mind because that's the one I rave about the most. But that's about a Shakespeare school. So Shakespeare and Rocky Horror, sign me up.
Love that.
Right up our alley.
Love that. You were saying books of the last year.
Yeah. Within your own book, what would be your favorite book that you read in the past year?
The two that we always recommend is Bridget Morrissey's When the Light Went Out and Amina Maysafi's Tell Me How You Really Feel.
Have you guys read Tell Me How You Really Feel? You should check it out.
Not yet. It's on a list somewhere.
I feel like I have, but
it's an enemies to lovers, two girls who are trying to do a movie together and like trying.
Oh, I did read that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the same vibes that, if I'm being honest, has in there, but also a whole lot of depth and humor and love for the city and all that stuff. And Bridget's, which again the title is When the Light Went Out. She's such a marvelous writer. Just like
that's a book when you want to cry. Like sometimes you just want a book that'll make you cry. That like those are books.
All books make me cry. So
just really intense. Yeah. So those are some recent faves for Big Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What was the last book you read?
I just finished Keep My Heart in San Francisco, which is delightful. It comes out in June about a girl trying to save her family's dying bowling alley. It's very cute, like friends to lovers, ex-best friends to lovers, like fun romp.
Yeah.
Also explores mental health and has really good representation.
It's terrific. We've known the author since Pitch Wars, and we're very excited for that one to come out. Last book I read was Normal People, the Sally Rooney book, which was okay. There's a lot. Yeah.
A recent read of mine that's in the contemporary world that also comes out next month is Best Laid Plans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's kind of same vibes and it was really good.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. It's got a great classic rom-com flavor to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cat people or dog people? Or both?
Wait, which one?
Cat people or dog people?
Dog people.
We're dog people, but we also we have a friend who has cats, and we've been spending more time with them. And like,
I mean, you saw our reaction when your cat walks by. Like,
sometimes maybe should we just get a cat?
Maybe we think we should. It's so hard, but we've had dogs since childhood, so that's the defining factor there. Is it's just like,
Oh, here comes another one. Hold on.
I guess we're.
See, the cats and the dogs aren't allowed in my room, so.
Big.
This is Tigger.
Yeah.
Oh,
it certainly
Here's
is.
another one. Hold on.
Oh, wait, is there a third cat?
There's Sasha.
That's the best.
There's another one probably hiding on top of a bookshelf.
Oh,
Fluffy. I'm surrounded by cats right now. Dogs in the other room.
oh wow.
Big lift.
He's a big boy.
So cute.
He is larger than my dog.
Larger than my dogs too. Oh, now I'm covered in cat hair.
Inevitable.
I see a question over here. How excited are you both to get arcs from other authors?
Oh, we love it. We really do. We it's like
we collect them.
Yeah, we have many arcs, and we're trying to do better about like giving them away after we read them, so that more people can read them. But you know, we came to this genre because we're such big fans of it, so it's really cool to read them before they come out.
And many of these people are personal friends, and we've like heard
a dog.
Do I have to exit my room and go grab one of our pets?
To be fair, she just sought me out.
So cute.
Yes, we're big arc people. We've often heard of these books since their development phases and the struggles of people writing them. And you know, it's such a wonderful feeling reading something that your friend has written and being like, wow, like you are so good at this.
Oh wow.
Oh my goodness.
That's really cool. Apparently, other animals that are currently watching this live show are going nuts over the animals on
Same.
But someone's dog is barking
Can
at
I just
the
put my
cat.
headphones back in, please? Yes.
That's funny. Oh, so does anybody else have any other questions for Austin and Emily? If so, get them out now.
Now's time.
Well, you were talking about you have friends that write books. Any of your friends have any books coming out that you want to push on us, besides the ones that we've already talked about?
Talking about, so Amina Maysafi's next book is This Is All Your Fault, and that comes out in June.
Rachel Solomon's
Yes.
Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, which is probably on
Which you guys have read
everybody's
this?
radar.
It's very fun.
It's another classic rom-com, enemies to lovers story. It takes place on graduation day, I think it is,
Last day of
all
school.
through Seattle. And Rachel's such a marvelous writer, and she's really applied all of her gifts to a rollicking, fun, iconic rom-com type story.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Cameron's, you mentioned Best Laid Plans. Also Marissa Cantor's What I Like About You, which is another book we've seen since its inception, and we're just like so thrilled to see it coming out and happening. That's a big one.
There's so many.
Truly, it's
the books.
It's rather difficult to
We're
track
just making lists.
Yeah.
because the community is really flourishing right now, and
Which is so great.
So after all of this virus stuff has finally passed, do y'all plan on attending any bookish events like Y'all Fest or BDA?
Always go to Y'all West and LA Times Festival Books because we live in Los Angeles. That's where we are right now. As for next year, we don't know yet. It's really up to our publisher. Hopefully.
The virus issue has really put a lot of that planning on hold. It's something that we started to have some conversations with our team about, and then those conversations were predictably postponed.
Yeah.
So we will see. We would like to travel.
We would really love to go to all of those.
That's because I go to that every year.
One?
Y'all Fest.
Oh yeah.
In South Carolina, because I'm on that.
I hear it's so great.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will be able to.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of questions here. Kaylani wants to know, how long have you been together?
A little over a decade.
Yeah, we've been married for less than a year.
Mm-hmm. But we've been dating since our senior year of high school, which was 10 years this past November.
Mm-hmm.
So we did long distance in college, did the first apartment, did the wedding. Yeah, that's did the books.
Did the books. Nerdy Birdie says, I've been advertising for a few years and I know choosing/creating covers must be hard. Do you guys tend to prefer the pastels?
We love our
We love
covers.
the
We had
pastels.
absolutely nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
But
it all came down from the Penguin designer,
Yeah.
but we were the pastels have been one of our favorite things about them. We were so delighted. I think they photographed so well, and
And we were just about to have the photo shoot for What's Not to Love before the
we've seen some
virus
comps
pandemic,
of it, and then
that's on hold now.
but
I do like the fact that all of your books, like the covers, all look like they would go together.
That's really important to us.
Yes.
We really want them to, because they do all go together. And the characters, in fact, appear in all the other books. So we kind of want it to look like a collection.
yeah, the designer's done a great job of keeping them cohesive, but also having an individual spirit in each one.
Yeah.
They also want to know, have you ever been divided between cover choices?
Not really.
No.
We don't get a whole lot of cover choice, but generally when
sometimes we get to pick the model.
Yes.
That's very interesting process.
Yes.
You get to like look up all these dudes' Instagrams and like figure it out for Time of Our Lives and for What's Not to Love, because we have men in on the covers theoretically.
Yes. So Emily got to look at all of these dudes' Instagrams.
I'm looking at them. They're so cute.
They are. They're so cute.
But yeah, pretty much whenever we get something, we both love it.
Yeah, we have
Cinnamon roll too.
what?
Is he a cinnamon roll too?
He is very,
Very
much
much so.
cinnamon roll. We finally broke the cinnamon
We did.
roll mold on our 4th book, but
Yes.
3 books we really did the soft
Yes.
boy.
Sometimes you just need a soft boy.
Yeah, we just did the soft boy.
He's very lovable.
The model you picked for that looks like he's a cinnamon roll, so
Apparently,
It really does.
he was like very shy on set, and it was perfect.
It was like weirdly just right. It's like
sorry, I'm reading comments. Somebody says, "LOL, dudes, Instagrams. I love you guys."
part of the job, you know.
Just
Everybody loves your covers. They love that they also go well together. Oh, and somebody's asking cinnamon roll.
Oh yeah,
our soft boys, they're just sweet and warm, and
it's a bit of a YA term.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're soft and sweet and squishy, and you just want to eat them up.
That
You
puts
just
it
like want to put them in your pocket and never like let them get hurt.
Yeah, they're not bad boys.
We love a cinnamon roll.
Us too, obviously.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. This has been a blast.
It's been
This is
super
so
cool.
cool.
Thank you so much for having
Thanks
us.
for bringing the pets.
Thank you.
Bye.
Round of applause.
I'm being blocked by ears half the time, so
But yes, thank you all for reading and
Truly.
for having us here and talking to us. It's been so great.
And we will definitely be keeping you in mind for next year. I know your schedule will be crazy with all of the books coming out, but maybe we can line something up.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah, this has been super fun.
All right. Well, does anybody else have any quick questions before we say goodbye? Anybody? Everybody's saying thank you. They had a great time.
So,
We really did.
got to put on makeup today for the first time in quarantine.
yes.
Great.
I put on real pants, even though you can't tell.
Wearing jeans.
Yeah, I was like, I need to be dressed up for once.
Well, for any of you that are wanting to stay and chat with us, we may continue a separate live show after this, and we'll let Austin and Emily go on with their day. But I know I will stay on. Clint, are you going to stay on? Allie?
Yep.
We're going to come back on and continue a live show where we can just talk about the rest of the readathon. And
We have a quick question real fast. We have a quick question for them. How many books is your ultimate goal to write?
Oh.
We do not plan
The limit does not exist
yet.
Yes.
As long as we are lucky to have people who want to read our ideas, we would love to do this.
Yeah.
they're going to be 83 years old and still writing about those cute cinnamon roll teenage
Oh.
boys.
Right.
So basically what you're saying is to like empty this shelf and just make sure it's ready for you guys.
Make some space.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Austin and Emily. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to having you back with us sometime in the future.
Yes.
And we will see the rest of you later. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.